Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Android App Arena is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Android App Arena episode 66 for Wednesday, October 7th, 2015. Voice recorders. This episode of Android App Arena is brought to you by Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, go to harrys.com. Get $5 off your first purchase by entering the code ARENA when you check out. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Android App Arena. I'm your host, Jason Howell. Recording your voice on the go isn't the kind of thing that everyone that owns a smartphone wants to do. I fully admit, personally, I totally fall into that camp. I use my phone to record voice memos all the time. Though in my case, it's less about things like productivity and more about things musicians do, like capturing songs, lyrics, or harmony ideas that just kind of find themselves lodged inside my brain looking for a way out. These fleeting ideas would be lost if I didn't pull out my phone and record it in any way possible. And as a result, I have a digital stockpile of song ideas for when, I find that extra time to actually sit down and realize them completely. That never happens. Anyways, I've done this inside Evernote up until now, primarily because I can attach a voice memo with a document that might contain other details about that song idea. But the audio quality is, well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's really bad. It's downright abysmal. Serviceable for most, particularly if you're just leaving yourself voice notes, but for musicians, hardly passable. So I wanted to see what other voice recorders are out there that might be good alternatives to my current setup, and I found some interesting choices here. Let's take a look at 3 awesome voice recorders and compare them against each other in this week's Best of the Best. Ever find yourself in a meeting, a brainstorm session, or just a fascinating discussion when suddenly someone makes a comment that totally resonates? Wouldn't it have been nice to be recording when that happened? Because it can be difficult to, go back in time and recall what was said. If you record everything, you then have to spend extra time later combing through it to find those nuggets. Cogi is an app that shines in meeting environments, lectures, even jam sessions if you're a musician, and it operates very differently from its competition. Cogi is not simply an audio recorder, but rather a highlight recorder. It's like a DVR for your meetings. So what does that actually mean? Let's say you're sitting down for a meeting. Instead of tapping record to capture every single minute, you tap to start the session in Cogi. You see the progress line kind of make its way around the large highlight button in the center of the screen. The path behind that line signifies the amount of time in the past that can be rewound to and recorded. So let's say about 10 minutes into the meeting, someone finally says something brilliant that you want to make sure you don't forget later. Just tap the highlight button, and even though no recording has taken place up to that point, Cogi will start an audio capture that includes the previous 5, 15, 30, or 45 seconds of audio. This can be dialed in if you go to the settings pane and choose your preference. Whatever it's set to, it means that you won't miss the highlights of your meeting, even if they've already passed. That recording will then continue on until you tap the highlight button once more, saving that chunk of the meeting inside the session. And you can record more highlights as things progress, all saved to that same session as well. Say someone throws something on the whiteboard, tap the camera button and snap a picture of it, which will then be included inside the session. You can also drop in a written note, as well as custom tags and contacts to help remember details later. When you're done with that session, the media you've marked and created is then easy to preview all together. You'll notice that there's this transcript button here. Cogi offers a few premium services, including Cogi Scribe, that's transcripts for $1.50 per minute. There's also Cogi Phone for calls and conference calls at 4 cents per minute, as well as fully featured voice call recording capabilities. But the basic underlying functionality that I've shown off here is completely free. Cogi notes and voice recorder can be found in the Play Store right now. Now, if you like your voice recording apps with a healthy dose of skeuomorphism, then there's a lot to get excited about with Field Recorder. The app's design is specifically meant to look like a hardware audio recorder, complete with shadowed control buttons and a large backlit digital readout with all the bells and whistles front and center. It turns out Field Recorder is pretty capable. Even if parts of its design leave a little to be desired, Field Recorder has been around for a long time, so some aspects of the interface kind of harken back to years of old in Android. In particular, the menus that have so much descriptive text per option, it might make your head explode. Thankfully, you can disable those descriptors if you wish. But diving into the app itself, I'll go ahead and tap record, and the first thing I love about Field Recorder is that giant responsive VU meter for visualizing the level of incoming audio. Tapping the meter button gives me all the settings for how that VU meter reacts to audio, so I can add or remove LEDs, I can set the peak hold time to different values, and determine how low the decibel values extend on that meter. The auto mode allows for automatic recording based on setting a decibel threshold and an auto stop function that will pause recording until the threshold is passed once again. Inside of the digital readout, you get a ton of features. You can set the microphone to any number of included mics, meaning you can opt for the mic on the front of your device or the rear camera, as well as a Bluetooth headset option if it's connected. This pre-recording setting here allows for an audio buffer that'll record ahead of the moment you actually hit record. So when set to 4 seconds, your recording will include the 4 seconds prior to the point you hit record. Kind of neat. Record in mono or stereo if it's capable, and in any number of WAV file resolutions. And tapping the file name pulls up the selection of audio files you've recorded in the past, showing those waveforms and allowing for a quick preview. This EQ section can be fiddled with, but again, this would kind of be nicely done if it were more graphical. So you kind of have to do it text-based, but if you know what you're doing, it's not that difficult. And tapping this waveform button up top turns the digital display into a real-time waveform generator while you're recording. When your recording is finished, just tap this send button, and now you can share the file to wherever you like, or even convert that to MP3 if you happen to have Media Converter installed. The UI is either an eyesore or a control freak's dream, depending on your audio background, but it's definitely an app in its own class altogether. Find Field Recorder for $4.69 in the Play Store. Now, I went searching for an audio recorder that allows for automatic sync with cloud accounts, and boy, am I glad I did. Now, this one's a little odd because the app is called Skyro, though you won't see that when you search for it in the Play Store. Look for Voice Recorder by the developer Trivius, and that should do the trick. Skyro looks different from the rest. That's thanks to its theming engine, so you can get a nice, peaceful image to kick off your voice recording. Yes, I know that sounds strange, but things look nice, kind of contemporary as a result. Tap the mic to begin a recording, and you'll see a new screen with a bouncing waveform in the center of the screen that gives a nice visual representation of the audio that's being recorded. I did notice a little bit of lag on that, but it's a nice visual touch nonetheless. Now, down at the bottom are your recording controls. You can pause the recording and pick that up later, resulting in a seamless edit. You can also take photos throughout your session. When the session is actually done, then you'll tap stop and you'll be prompted to add those photos that you took and select which ones should be included. Now check this out. Swiping left gives you a visual timeline of your audio recordings in a vertical tree, kind of your history of recordings. Each audio file recorded includes the name of the file, location it was recorded, and images that are associated with those recordings. In the settings, you can dial in your sync and share preferences. This is what I was specifically looking for. Right now, Skyro can sync to Dropbox as well as SoundCloud. With Dropbox, you can determine whether sync should happen with only Wi-Fi or also with mobile networks, and at what frequency. You get more options with the Pro version. Autosave of your recorded audio happens under the hood every minute, so you won't lose your audio if something strange happens to your device while it's recording. And the developers recently added Android Wear functionality that allows you to fire off a recording from your wrist, as well as pause it and end it when the recording's done. For $1.99, you can upgrade to the Pro version, which brings a long list of extra functionality, including recording source selection for choosing a different mic, silence skip for saving space and time in your recording, echo cancellation, and expanded options for themes, sync settings, and compression types. But the free version has no limit to the amount of audio you can record, and even better, no ads to interfere with the experience. Find Skyro, also known as Voice Recorder, in the Play Store now. All right, so we've seen 3 voice recording apps here. Each one takes, obviously, a bit of a different approach, but which one reigns supreme? Is it Cogi's? Or someone in the chat room is saying the G is silent. So Cogi's highlights and DVR style approach, is that the winner? What about Field Recorder's dedication to old school audio files that want that extra control and added skeuomorphism? Or Skyro that records sessions and automatically syncs that audio to the cloud? Honestly, for me, it's between Cogi and Skyro, because Field Recorder simply has too many rough edges for my taste. A little bit too much of those old kind of menu styles from Android's history. So between those two, the 2 that we have remaining, I got to pick Skyro. Honestly, I'm so used to having Evernote record my voice memos and then sync that to the cloud. Usually those ideas for those songs that I'm working on, I'm putting that up there, and the quality inside Evernote is so bad that a voice recorder like Skyro that syncs to the cloud like Evernote does in full res audio is a big winner for me. Plus, I love the look of the app. It's fresh, it's light. What can I say? It works for me. Send me your suggestions, your favorites, whatever they happen to be in the voice recorder category, and I'll add them to my list for a future episode. That's arena@twit.tv. All right, before we move on, let's thank the sponsor of today's episode, and that is Harry's. Harry's is fixing a problem most of us have, and that's paying too much for overpriced razors. You can admit it, shaving isn't fun. The cuts, the scrapes that are associated with dull blades, no one likes that stuff. Not to mention razors are pricey. $4 for a blade. That means daily shavers are spending hundreds of dollars a year on razors alone. Now, thankfully, there's a company that's fixing all of this for us, and that's Harry's, giving us high-quality razors at about half the price of those big brand blades. Harry's makes their razors in their own factory in Germany, engineered for sharpness and high performance. Harry's actually ships these to you for free to your front doorstep in a box much like this. And because they make and ship their own blades, Harry's is more efficient, giving us factory direct pricing. And Harry's guarantees your satisfaction. In each kit, you get a razor with an awesome handle here, as you can see. You get 3 razor blades, which I have in the box right here. Well, I have 2 of them here. The other one's on the actual razor. And then you get the foaming gel up here. Not to mention, this is kind of a handy little case for the razor, so you can throw it in your bag, your DAP kit, and you won't cut yourself when you reach in there for the razor. The starter Truman kit is actually the one that I have. It's an excellent deal. You get all of this for just $15. I've been using Harry's for a while now. It's actually, I can admit, it's transformed how I feel about shaving. I actually look forward to using the Harry's products instead of hating the fact that I have to shave. I actually look forward to it. The shave is clean, it's comfortable, and everything feels great. Now, I always use the aftershave after the fact, the aftershave moisturizer, to kind of hydrate my skin and, you know, smell nice and manly. Here's an offer for you. Go to harrys.com and get $5 off your first purchase by using the code ARENA. You can check out the quality of a Harry's shave for yourself. That's HARRYS.com, and make sure and enter the code ARENA at checkout to get that discount. And we thank Harry's for their support of Android App Arena. All right, this next app is sure to fill your big party with a symphony of tinny speakers all resonating in unison. It's this week's big app. A new app hit the Play Store that aims to take that tiny little speaker on your phone and turn it into one of a collection of perfectly timed loudspeakers, united by one amazing song playlist after another. Of your choosing, of course. It's called AmpMe. And the minute I heard of its ambition, I was intrigued. So first, taking a look at the app itself, the main screen is split into 2 easy-to-understand sections. First, you can host a party. Your phone will act as the jukebox for any other devices connected to your hosted party. Tap that to prepare your party, and you'll then need to set up access to a SoundCloud account to get started. Yes, this is a big downside as not everyone uses SoundCloud, but let's excuse that limit just for a moment. I'll scan through and select a yellow gold playlist. I'll go ahead and fire that up and then sync a friend where I'm given a unique party code. This is the 4-digit code that I'm going to give to my friends who all hopefully have installed AmpMe on their devices. They'll go ahead and fire it up on their device and tap Join a Party from the main screen. Now, on both devices, it's suggested that you pull that volume slider into the zone that says sweet spot and then hold the devices close to each other and let AmpMe do its audio syncing voodoo. I had some luck going outside of that zone, but your mileage may vary. Once it gets a lock, it'll sound a chime, and then that music should be playing through both devices in perfect sync with each other. The idea being that the more tiny speakers playing the same audio in a room, the louder and fuller it will be for everyone. Being that AmpMe is cross-platform with an app for Android and iOS, you should have plenty of devices to tap into at your next party, and it also works with Bluetooth speakers. I'll admit it took me a few tries to get perfect sync locked in, but I eventually got there. Not sure those repeated tries would be very awesome in a party situation, but who knows. And I also noticed that letting the display go to sleep would sometimes throw sync off at times, requiring me to resync once again. Now, as for the limits to SoundCloud, the developer has expressed interest in broadening music selection offerings to music stored on the device. And I'm sure they're interested in opening it up to any of the main services people use for music right now. But at the moment, it's an interesting proof of concept with serious potential. Find AmpMe in the Play Store right now for free. So when I played around with AmpMe at home, I was using my Nexus 6 to drive 2 separate Nexus 9s and a Nexus 7. So I had kind of 4 devices all connected. Connecting all of those devices was a little challenging. I got to do it one by one. And in the end, I don't know, I couldn't quite get them all in perfect sync. It was close, but it wasn't perfect. With electronic dance music, it was kind of unbearable. That's a genre that practically requires to the millisecond sync. Otherwise, it sounds like a persistent delay, and it's really hard to ignore. Here at work, it locked in without much effort at all. Not sure why, but there you go. It's interesting stuff, interesting technology nonetheless. And Chris, who's running the teleprompter, tells me it'll be hot with the kids at their parties. So there you go. Send me your favorite apps and categories to arena@twit.tv, or you can post those to the subreddit at androidapparena.reddit.com. You can share them with me and the rest of the world because everybody can see them there. The show records live every Wednesday around 4:30 p.m. Pacific following Tech News Tonight. That's at twit.tv. Look for the live button, tap it, and you're watching. And if you can't make the live taping, the show will appear later that evening in the feeds and on the show page at twit.tv/arena. All right, that's it, folks. Thank you so much for joining me once again today. My name is Jason Howell. I'll see you next week in the arena.